Wonderful and a pleasant morning to each and every one of us. Today, me and my group mates will be discussing about the approaches to language teaching. We will focus on the natural approach, which I am going to discuss later. The total physical response, or TPR, will be tackled by Angela and Drea, and Suggestopedia and Desuggestopedia will be tackled by Ami and Rachel. Before jumping on the discussion, I am going to discuss first the main objectives of this lesson. So at the end of this topic, you are expected to define natural approach, total physical response, Suggestopedia and Desuggestopedia according to the different authorities. The second objective is that you should be able to discuss how these teaching methods differ from each other. And lastly, you should be able to determine what would be their preference in terms of learning. So are you guys ready? Let's now proceed to the topic.
The natural approach is a method of language teaching developed by Stephen Krashen and Tracy Terrell in the late 1970s and 1980s. It aims to foster naturalistic language acquisition in a classroom setting, and to this end, it emphasizes communication and places decreased importance on conscious grammar study and explicit correction of student errors. Efforts are also made to make the learning environment as stress-free as possible. In the natural approach, language output is not forced, but allowed to emerge spontaneously after students have attended to large amounts of comprehensible language input. The natural approach shares many features with the direct method, itself also known as the natural method, which was formulated around 1900s and was also a reaction to grammar translation. Both the natural approach and the direct method are based on the idea of enabling naturalistic language acquisition in the language classroom. They differ in the natural approach puts emphasis on practice and more exposure to natural input and on reducing learners' anxiety.
Here are some of the advantages of natural approach. Students are not pressured to produce language until they are ready. So when students are not pressured, they are more comfortable. Second, it focuses on vocabulary, particularly in everyday languages. So there's no grammar instruction in this method. It also employs engaging activities such as games, group work, and skits. Lastly, natural approach gives emphasis on the importance of input for language learning. Like when learners are ready to begin talking in the language or in the new language, the teacher provides comprehensive language and simple response opportunities. It has also its disadvantages wherein this method is best for beginner learners but doesn't seem as effective for more advanced students. And students produce language only when they are ready.
So, good morning everyone. I am Angela Ballesteros, a Bachelor of Secondary Education, English 1 student. So, I am here to tackle about the TPR, or what we call Total Physical Response. At the end of this topic, the learner should able to, number 1, learn about this total physical response and its significance. Number 2, how it differs from natural approach, Suggestopedia and Desuggestopedia. So what is total physical response that was created by Dr. James J. Asher? Total physical response is based upon the way the children learn their mother tongue. Parents have the language and body conversation with their children. The parent instructs and the child physically respond to this. Just like the parent might say, "Look at mommy," or "Give me the ball," and the child does so. So what I understand in this statement is the involvement of a parent and a child, wherein the parent uses language and body conversation, not just only a body, and not just only a language, I should say, but a combination of a language and body conversation, as the child doesn't able to speak by itself. Understand also in this statement is the parent uses a basic physical activity to easily adopt and understand by the child. Even though it can speak during this time, the child is taking all of the language, the sounds, and its pattern. So it is more on imitating the sound and how the parent deliver the words to them. Eventually, when it has decoded enough, the child reproduces the language quite spontaneously. So what I understand in this statement is, as time goes by, the child will able to reproduce language spontaneously. Relying on humanistic pedagogy, total physical response also stresses the importance of a stress-free environment. In fact, second language learning often causes a lot of stress and anxiety. So, it says here that the second language learning is not that important because second language learning often causes stress and anxiety. And that's it. So next is the advantages and disadvantages of total physical response.
Good morning, ma'am. Today I will going to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of total physical response, or what we call TPR. So let me discuss first the advantages of it. First, it is easy and fun because we were going to use different methods for them to easily understand what we are talking about. You can use pictures or any appropriate things to easily understand it. In this way, it will also measure your creativity skills. So the second advantages of TPR is, it does not require a great deal preparation on the part of the teacher. As we all know, our parents is the one taught us many things. So we consider them as our first teacher. Third is, it is a good tool for learning vocabulary. It is a good tool because through TPR, you can widen your knowledge about many things, for example, our second language. And it is also improve your vocabulary and widen it also. So the next is, class size does not need to be a problem. So it does not need to be a problem because through TPR, you can handle any amount of your class in a way of giving instruction to them on what they need to do. So the last advantages is, there is no age barrier. There is no age barrier because every one of us can learn in this way if we want. So next is the disadvantages of total physical response. So the first disadvantages is, it is not a creative method. Students are not given the opportunity to express their own views and thoughts in a creative way. Students are not given the opportunity to explain their thoughts because the teacher is the one who are going to explain it, and the teacher is the one who teach them. So the last disadvantages of TPR is, it is limited since everything cannot be explained with this method. It must be combined with other opportunities. It is limited because you don't have the opportunity to share your ideas or knowledge.
Hi everyone, I am Ami Columna and I am going to discuss to you what is Suggestopedia means. Suggestopedia is a language teaching method originated in the 1970s by Bulgarian psychologist Georgi Lozanov. The name combines the terms suggestion and pedagogy. The main idea being that accelerated learning can take place when accompanied by the suggestion of psychological barriers and positive suggestion. To this end, lesson takes place against a background of soothing music in an emotionally comforting environment, with the teaching actively planting and unplanting thoughts in and from the learner's mind. Suggestopedia is also called pseudoscience. These are the advantages of Suggestopedia. 1. Use music during the process of learning to a student to relax his mind, to refresh their thoughts. 2. have different class setting which makes the students relax during the learning process and have peace in their mind, space to breathe and to cool themselves. And these are the disadvantages of Suggestopedia. 1. Using music during the learning process also has disadvantages for other person who can't study in a noisy places. 2. Different to be practical in the development countries such as Indonesia. That is the Suggestopedia means and advantages and the disadvantages.
Good morning everyone, I am Rachel Ugalino and I'm going to discuss to you what is Desuggestopedia. Desuggestopedia is an approach to education whose primary objective is to tap the extraordinary reserve capacities we all possess but rarely if ever use. This method utilizes techniques from many sources of research into how best we can learn. The Bulgarian scientist Dr. Georgy Lozanov, as example, has demonstrated that through carefully orchestrated learning environment, including most importantly a specially trained teacher, learning process can be accelerated by a factor of 3 to 10 times enjoyably. Such results are possible through the proper use of suggestion. The suggestive process allows the students to go beyond previously held beliefs and self-limiting concepts concerning the learning of process and learning the great quantities of materials with ease and enjoyment.
Now, let us discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the Suggestopedia. First advantage of the Suggestopedia is that students will remember best and are most influenced by the information coming from an authoritative source and teachers. Second, students can gain the aim of teaching instruction from both direct instruction and environment in which the vocabulary teaching takes place. And third, students can make sentences using the grammatical structure placed in the walls of the classroom. Let's move to the disadvantages of the Suggestopedia. One of the problems in using this method is the number of students who do not want to be treated as they mature. And of course, using this method needed a heavy focus.